Hi guys, today we're going to start our project on creating the Corinthian helmet. Now the Corinthian helmet was the most popular helmet used in ancient Greece by their warrior class, the Hoplites. What happened was it was made out of bronze and they used the helmet from about 600 BCE all the way up to around 100 CE. It was very popular. It's the helmet that you might have seen in movies such as like 300. Has the bronze flaps that come around the face, eye slits, sometimes has this large plume of dyed horsehair on top. What you're going to be doing today, starting out, is you're going to be making an actual helmet for yourself. And then later on what we'll do is we will compose and write a story for your helmet. I will give you details that you'll have to research based on where your helmet came from or the person who might have had your helmet. To start your helmet, we're going to need a couple materials. So you should have these. We've talked about these and we brought some in. If you don't have these materials, see me or your team. What you're going to need for your materials are a roll of duct tape, scissors, a Sharpie of some sort, a ruler, and some cardboard. Right? As far as the duct tape goes, if you want to start out with a different color, you can, but eventually we'll be putting gray, silver, or gold duct tape, whatever you have, over as our final kind of layer. But if you want to start out with a base and that's the only color you have, that's fine. What you're going to want to do is measure out a piece of cardboard that is 18 inches by 36 inches. Okay? Then what we're going to do is cut out that piece of cardboard. Once you have your cardboard cut out into your rectangle shape of 18 by 36 inches, you're going to want to soften up or break up the fibers of the cardboard a little bit to make it a little more pliable. You do this by taking the cardboard and rolling it off the edge of a table, a desk, just to kind of break it up a little bit. You're going to be reinforcing it with duct tape, so even if it's a little soft, that's fine. Just make sure you don't rip it or break it, otherwise you have to cut out a new piece. Once you've softened up the cardboard a little bit, take your ruler and measure 8 inches down from one edge. Then draw a line horizontally across the cardboard. Now with your marker, take your Sharpie and draw what looks like teeth, sharp teeth, or the prongs of a crown. They should be no wider than an inch towards the top and 2 to 3 inches at the bottom. It does not have to look perfect, as you can see mine. All right? It does not have to be perfect, so just make sure they don't get too wide. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to size your helmet. Now the helmet should not be so tight that it can't go over your entire head. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the cardboard and you're basically going to wrap it around your head and make a cylinder, right, that fits. Okay? So when something like that, you'll take a piece of tape and tape it to the back once you get the right size. So now, as you can see, I've cut off the excess cardboard after I've shaped the main piece around my head to make sure it was a good fit. Right. Now what you can see that I've done is I've cut out some of the prongs. It almost looks like a dinosaur, like Tyrannosaurus Rex teeth, or a crown like shape. Right. So what you want to do is cut those out. Make sure you're cutting them. They're still connected to the larger piece of cardboard, as you can see there. I didn't go below that line that I drew, 8 inches down. Right? And now what you're going to want to do is soften up those triangle, prongs, teeth, whatever you want to call them, off the edge of your desk or table. Right? Be careful that you don't rip them off, right? And try and soften them so they're kind of folded inward when you make the cylinder and you would put the helmet on. They're going to eventually become the top of your helmet. So have them kind of all go the same direction inward to the cylinder. Okay, so I've softened up the teeth, so now it kind of looks like a large crown, if you can see it there. And what I've done is I've gone inside and I placed a temporary piece of duct tape to hold the helmet together. It's going to be temporary because we have to sketch the face, the eyes, and the nose guard of the helmet and the space between the two panels that would come along your cheeks and jawline. So if you look over here at this design, this is a pretty good design to go by. The eyes are almost teardrop shaped, and then the nose kind of is teardrop shaped as well. So if you could remember that when you're drawing, that would be great. So just go from there. However big you want the gap between the two jaw or cheek guards, if you can see there, that would show your mouth. That's up to you. Those did vary. If you look up other Corinthian helmets, some were wider than others. So whatever you're comfortable with on that design, go right ahead and do it. I suggest using a pencil to sketch these out first, and then going over with your Sharpie before you get ready to make your final cuts. Now, as you can see here, I've sketched out some teardrop shaped eyes, the nose guard, and then actually the space that will show my mouth and create the cheek or jaw guards. What I'm going to do now is carefully cut these out and make sure I'm cutting out the mouthpiece and the eye slots, not the nose guard. Now you can see I've cut it out. What you're going to want to do is, though, make sure you reinforce this top section with a lot of duct tape on the inside and out, because that's your point of strength. Missing all of that material has weakened the helmet a little bit. Now, once you start putting duct tape and covering everything, it's going to pull it together and make it quite strong. But in the beginning, put a couple strips on the inside and a couple up right above, like where the eyebrows or the forehead would be, just to make sure it holds together. The next step, you should have your helmet kind of looking like this. If you noticed, I put all the prongs of the crown shape down. And this is really what's going to shape your helmet. What some students like to do is put it on another person's head, try and round it out the best they could as they put a piece of tape down to hold it in place. I've also had students at home or at school put some sort of mixing bowl. I in the past have used like an aluminum or stainless steel mixing bowl to kind of get a round shape, or just kind of figure it out as you go with the tape. All right? And what you've noticed here is I put one single long piece of gray duct tape, and I'm going to start making an asterisk pattern. Cross, angle, start filling out the top of the helmet, and then working my way all the way down and around the rest of the helmet. It's important to kind of make sure you don't have a lot of bubbles. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be wrinkles and some sort of creases in the tape, but try and get it as smooth as possible. So now that you've finished it, you should have something looking similar to this. Now, depending on how you decide to do your head, if you decided to use a bowl, I didn't use a bowl on this one to get a perfect shape on top. It could be a little more round on top. What you're then going to do is shape your helmet. So if you look down here at the bottom, I've started with drawing a pencil line about a 45-degree angle. Now, if you look down here, I'm going to take about 3 inches off, because when I put on the helmet, it doesn't fit. The cardboard's touching my shoulder, so you have to trim it to size and then cut on your angle. And right around your ear hole, level out your angle. It comes around straight around the back. So you can see the pencil line here, right? Until you get to the other kind of ear hole, and then you're going to start coming back down. All right, so I'm going to trim that up right now, and I'll show you what I have afterwards. I'll continue with a layer of duct tape after I trim it out, so the whole thing is wrapped in gray duct tape. Okay, as you can see, it's beginning to take shape. All right. The most important thing when putting your duct tape on is to make sure it's taut. Pull some tension on it so you get a nice smooth surface. All right, and you start filling things in here. All right. If you notice what I've left out here, though, is when I get about a 1/4 inch from edges, I'm not taking the tape all the way yet. This is where I'll do some fine, precise taping. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to kind of wrap it around the edge here. I'll go long ways and then I'll wrap it. You'll see in a moment. I'll show you an example once I'm finished. But I have most of my main taping done right now at this point. Okay? Okay, so now that we have our helmet taped up, as you can see here, let's switch it around. Right, we're going to start making the plume. Right, and what you need is a pencil here. And what I've done is I've laid the pencil out, okay, the helmet out, I'm sorry, on the cardboard. And then I just kind of traced around the top of the helmet to get this bottom arc here, to kind of get a shape of the helmet. Right, and then what I've done is I've continued up with a line here. I've made it probably about 3 inches. About 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches high, right, for this first one. And then I've just continued following this line up here on the top line, keep it about 3 inches. And I'm going to cut that out now. And that's going to kind of act as a template for the crest or the plume part of the helmet. Now, as you can see, what I've done is I have one of the parts for the plume. Right, I've made basically a template here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy out and I'm going to cut out a few more. I think I'm going to start with 4 to come out with a total of 4 of these kind of J or L-shaped plumes to start out with. Okay, now that we have our side plumes cut out, now it's for the center, like horsehair crest that you typically see in these type of helmets. So what I have here is I've traced out the one pattern, right, for the side pieces, but then I've extended it, okay? And how I've extended it is I've taken my ruler, right, and I want this piece to be about 10 inches long or big, okay? So let's take our template away, and what you do is you take your ruler, right, and your bottom of your ruler is going to be it's going to follow this inside line of our original template that we've cut out. And what you need to do with your pencil is just, every couple inches, you're following that line, mark where 10 inches is. Boom, 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 along the way as you follow, and then it's just connect the dots after that, right? So that way you get that nice curved shape, and that will be a big plume, but it should be about 10 inches for the actual plume. You're going to want 3 of these large cutouts, but once you cut out this first template, then all you need to do is trace it and cut out 2 more. Notice this line here. I just did that to show you that it was the original template. Don't cut along this line. Cut this line and this line all the way out, okay? So now that I've cut everything out, here's what you should have. Okay, 4 side pieces for the plume, 3 pieces that will actually make up the plume. Okay, these 3 pieces right now, what you're going to do is you're going to soften them up. Remember, kind of rubbing the cardboard along the edge to kind of break down the structure a little bit without tearing it. Okay, Once it's soft, you're going to start covering that in the color that you want the plume to be with duct tape. So whatever kind of duct tape you have, you're going to start covering that up. Okay. Now that I've taped the plume, as you can see right here, I have multiple pieces that I've taped together, different colors. I will tell you this will take a lot of duct tape, so be aware. You could also paint the plume if you wanted, or have the center one color and then the two outside panels another. I used one solid color and then a little bit of gold for the center plume just to change it up, but that's up to you. But it will take a decent amount of duct tape to do. What you're going to want to do now, okay, is take your side pieces, all right, that go along the plume, all right. These will be gray or silver or whatever color your helmet is, right? And you're going to want to tape everything together, so like sandwich. So if you look here, let me pick it up and hold it widthwise here. So if you look here, I have the multiple pieces on both sides, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taping all of these together here and here, and have my silver duct tape only around this part. Make sure it doesn't touch. Okay, silver duct tape or gray duct tape around these parts. Squeeze down at the bottom, so you want to wrap the duct tape up and over, wrap the duct tape up and over taut, and then come over with pieces of duct tape like so, right? Make sure you don't get any duct tape on the color of your plume, okay? This is going to be the color of your helmet. As you can see now, I've taped it all together. If you look, all right, it's kind of how I pulled the edges together, made it taut one piece. You know, actually, if you wanted to, you could put some glue between the panels. If you had some hot glue, or Elmer's glue, or Gorilla Glue, something like that to pull them all together. But it can be done with duct tape. You just have to make sure you pull it nice and taut and tight around these edges, because ultimately that's what's going to hold it together. The next step I'm going to do right now is start to cut the bristles. So I cut down here about pencil width, all right? I'd say would be a good width, so think about that. A pencil, slightly wider than a pencil, but not too much, would be a perfect width. So I have to go through all three panels and cut down to make the bristles. Okay, so now I've put everything together for the crest or plume, and what you notice I've done, I've cut down, right, about pencil width, right, and you can see I've also kind of frayed and bent back the the bristles of the plume as well, right. Let me just state something though. If you feel like students, if you can do this a better way, go right ahead. I've had students already suggest, hey, they might want to use some styrofoam and some feathers, or styrofoam and pipe cleaners. They just have different ideas. However you want to do this, this is fine. This is just one way. I'm trying to get everything done with just duct tape and cardboard. But if there's other materials you want to use, that's fine as well. Okay, so what you see here now is my mock-up for attaching the crest to the helmet. So what I first did is I took two long pieces of temporary tape right here, and I attached it. I pulled the crest down taut to the helmet. I'm going to remove those in a moment, okay? Did this on the other side. While the temporary tape was in place, I came over with a piece of tape going from the crest, okay, to the helmet, and just worked my way with tape, as you can see, back and forth, okay? Try and push it down as far as you can to get a nice angle, right? But you can go back over it with tape. I'm just going to work it back and forth, strengthening this part. I may even, I will take a piece of tape and then run it horizontally along here as well. So you get both vertical support and horizontal support. Okay, so here we have, a complete helmet, right? So at this point you have a couple options. You can stop here, okay? But for my go-getters, what you can do first is if you have a silver or gold metallic duct tape, you can go over everything and kind of give it that metallic look if you want. Also, you can take a couple long strips of duct tape and fold them over till they're no longer sticky, and then braid them into a tail in the back here in this area down here and attach it. Because some of the crest had a braided horsehair tail down at the bottom. You can reinforce by duct taping the inside of your helmet to make it completely sealed up. If your helmet you find is too large and moving around on your head, you can create a cardboard ring and insert it inside the helmet to give it a snugger fit. Okay, here is my final helmet. As you can see, I've covered it in metallic silver tape, trying to keep the tape as tight as possible to limit down on bubbles and wrinkles. I've also trimmed out the eyes, the nose guard, and the face guard with gold tape, as well as down gold tape around the bottom of the helmet. And I've braided 3 pieces of red duct tape that I folded onto itself into a braid and attached it to the back of the crest. But really, your own imagination is your limitation. Whatever you decide. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I look forward to seeing your helmets.